What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Beast for Build. Like I told you, I bought an M5. In today's episode, we're gonna try and get this M5 back to running and driving so we can go drift it tomorrow. Stay tuned. I bought this car without actually getting under the hood. Last night we tried to get under the hood and we weren't able to actually open it. So I don't know the extent of the damage and I don't know if we're gonna be able to fix it in one day, but that's what we're gonna go ahead and try and do. So first thing I gotta do is get the hood off the car. And to do that, I think we're gonna go ahead and cut the hood latch off of the hood, remove the hood, and then we could dive into it and see what parts need to be replaced. Kids at home, don't take the guards off your cutoff wheel. You're gonna cut your finger off. I don't know why they did that. It's a bad idea. It's time for the reveal. All right, I've literally never seen under here, and I have no idea what we're in for. I knew there was a V10 under there, so yeah. Here we go. Let's dive in. Front core support's smashed all the way into the engine block. Radiator is all the way into the serpentine system. This is gonna be challenging. This is gonna be a really big challenge to get this, to get all this shit pulled back out in time. Because right now what it looks like is all the belts and everything are gonna be completely compressed by this thing. So it's not as simple as just pulling the radiator out. The whole front core support, which looks like it's spot welded in there. And obviously you can always buy a new one of those. It's smashing all the way there. So this wreck was really unfortunate for this car because the other car, like I showed you before, slid over the front impact bar, so the front impact bar wasn't able to do its job, and then it just smashed all your auxiliary pieces, your cooling system, into the engine right there. So I guess it's not much different than what I expected, but it's not anything easier than what I expected either. So I'm gonna grab what looks like a Torx bit to try and start taking this apart. I'm gonna start taking off all this shielding and stuff like that and ripping up everything that I can get there so we can start moving it away from the engine. I've never seen a headlight break into as many pieces as this headlight went into. It took so much impact that it just like shattered into 1,000 pieces. Anytime you get a headlight though on an expensive car, always salvage all the parts you can. Bulbs, you never know. That might be $100, $200, you never know. And anything on the bottom, you wanna unbolt all that stuff and save it. So I'm saving all that good stuff. That's all in the garbage. Now, here's what we got going on here. The radiator's clearly pushed into all the pulleys. That's the first priority, is get that out and get that away from there. Why did my phone just turned on? Sorry, so we're gonna get the radiator away from the pulleys in the engine so I can diagnose any of that stuff, and then it's time to make an order. I guess there's a BMW distribution warehouse right down the street, and we're gonna be able to get parts in like less than 30 minutes. So we're gonna need the new radiator because we can't run generic since there's all this weird hosing that comes out of it. There's one that goes down here into a T, into the engine, there, all going up into the reservoir. So new radiator, OEM radiator, new power steering cooler, and I'm not sure what else. We got to get that out of there. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the car on the quick jacks just to get it up a little bit. It'll be easier on my back, and then I'll be able to get underneath and see what damage is done under there, although it looks like none. Progress is happening. We got the oil cooler off of the radiator unit. So this is like, it has a really nice, very large dedicated oil cooler that kind of goes in here. And I needed to get that off the radiator so the radiator could come out because they were kind of attached to each other. So now I have the room to get the radiator out of here, I believe. But I got to drain it properly because we're not in my shop, so I can't just spill everything on the ground. I'm gonna have to find the drain plug and slide it under there and drain it and then yank it out of there. We draining. This is good. I don't know how long it's gonna take at that rate. I'll go ahead and open this guy up. That'll get a little bit more airflow coming in on the other side. Apparently, now that I've been talking to people around here, this is a really good engine to swap into things. So maybe if I don't want to keep the M5, I could just swap the engine into something cooler. There we go, that's going a little bit better. Look at me, protecting the environment, not letting it go on the floor of my shop, TJ's shop. Once we get that out, I'm gonna forcefully yank the radiator out because we're running out of time. It's about 2:30 and we gotta order parts, so this thing's coming out quick. We got the radiator fan out. We got the radiator free enough to look at part numbers and stuff like that. And we got the part number off of our power steering cooler. And here comes the bad news. There's no radiator in town here. That is 90 miles away. So we definitely couldn't get one tonight. So radiator shot. We can't get one of those. This doesn't show up on any part numbers anywhere. The part number doesn't show up. They're all over eBay and they have their own part number, and I can find one used very, very easily, but I can't get one next day. That is also not in the same city, and it costs $700, which is not fucking cool. So we may be screwed for drifting tomorrow, but I got some things to look at, and maybe not. Maybe we can salvage some of these parts. All right, so I had an idea, which was to just kind of like restore the parts that were broken enough to just get started again. But that idea failed because that radiator has got a complete pinch in the side panel of it that will never let fluid flow. So we got to get a new radiator. So I got to talking with TJ, and I was thinking, and I found out that also Willow Springs is 3 hours away. So the plan started to get sketchy and started to fall apart. So say we take the Aston out there, we'd have to get some junk tires on the Aston. We can't bring a second set of tires. So even if they have a lot of interruptions here. Sorry, that was a fighter jet. So even if we did manage to get a spare set of burner tires, we would have to try and drive back on them 3 hours back to get back to the shop. And to go to Willow Springs, we have to leave at 5 a.m. tomorrow. So long story short, I'm not that down. So here's what we're gonna do. Also, we don't know if this car will even drift. A lot of people here think that the traction control system and stuff like that needs a little bit of work to be overridden. So change of plans. Here's what we're doing. New goal before I head home. I only have tomorrow, and then that's it, and then I have to head home. So here's the new goal. We are going to, I just placed an order for a new radiator, a stock M5 radiator from factory, because it's a very unique radiator. So we got a new radiator coming in. We're going to repair the power steering line enough that it'll work a little bit, and we are going, and I got a new pulley, a new belt pulley, and we're gonna run with no fan on the BMW so we can do a burnout tomorrow. That's the goal. Do a burnout, listen to that car run tomorrow. I'm very excited to hear how it runs. On the Aston Martin, I gotta do a quick radiator repair because my radiator is actually, I have a hose leaking on the bottom, super simple fix. And then we're gonna go do some donuts in that tonight, late night on the down low. Now a military helicopter, Jesus Christ. So that's the plan. I'm gonna get back to working on the BMW, on that power steering line, and removing the junk radiator. The bad radiator and AC condenser have been removed, so they're out of there. And now the last thing I really got to worry about, so I undid the pulley that was right here. Let me throw some light on this. Undid the pulley that was right here, and actually just to do a burnout tomorrow, we should actually be able to do that. But we're getting a new pulley. That's going to go in there. Press that down. That's going to be good. So the last thing that we got to worry about for doing a little burnout, a little burn ski, is the damage that's in this tube right here. And what I'm going to use is a pipe flaring kit, which is over here, one of these things, and I'm gonna go ahead and slap that on the tube and use that to widen this guy out a little bit, just so we can get a little bit of flow and make the power steering continue to operate. Again, it's actually a little overkill for how small of a thing we're doing, and I've already got a new one of these ordered. It's It's a new day. Had a bit of a scare this morning. I accidentally left all my luggage in a parking lot and drove away. So that was all the camera gear I own, my laptop for editing. Whew. Some very nice person delivered it back to the hotel, and I got it all back this morning. That was insane. So thank you to whoever nice person's out there that did that. That was really nice. Saved me thousands of bucks. So we got parts. Let me go show you. So I don't know if I showed you guys yet, but this pulley, when it got pinched by the fan, the belt basically had tension on it and melted it to death. It's pretty impressive, really. So Evan Beckerman from Throttle was kind enough to do some next day ordering of some parts for me because they got some BMW hookups out here. And we got a new pulley already. The new radiator is on its way. And now we are, last night when I left you guys, I was trying to widen out this hose by using the pipe flaring tool. Didn't work. Now this piece will be totally replaced. I've already ordered one on eBay, a used replacement piece, and it detaches down here. So since this is essentially garbage, what I've done is I went and bought a generic trans cooler that I'm gonna use as a power steering cooler in its place. So that's one of the next things I'm gonna work on is I'm gonna go ahead and make a cut here on this tube, flare it out a little bit. We'll go rubber hose into this cooler and then over here it uses a rubber hose as well. So this is all low pressure because you can tell by the rubber hose over there. So replacing this will be good because then we'll actually have flow for our power steering, and I'll replace that pulley while I'm in here. Wow, Beckerman appears with the radiator.
What do you call that? 8-hour delivery, dude.
There you go. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Woo!
Performance.
Now we have everything to be able to do a burnout, we think. This temporary power steering cooler install has been a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's getting almost done. So I flared out that pipe and got a hose on it. So that's running down right now just onto the ground. And what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is undo this pipe right here, or under this rubber hose from the cooler. That will then remove that cooler, and then I'm gonna plug in our new cooler into that, and then I'll run this hose over and into that cooler. Then I'll let it hang out over here before we zip tie it into our new radiator. Success. It's like the only shiny part in the engine bay. This is our power steering fluid cooler. BMW calls it a power steering oil cooler. Obviously temporary. What I bought goes from that new hardline. It goes from that hardline over there. It runs into this area right here, but we didn't have to modify anything that we want to keep. And this is really good. So once we get the radiator in here, this will kind of just go right here. It's a little overkill just to be able to do a burnout, but oh well. It'll be fun. So the next step would normally be placing the radiator in here, but that is a total keeper part, so I don't want to jump in there and then try and figure out this stuff. So what I'm going to do now is going to be kind of a fun part. I'm going to get a pry bar in here and start working around in this material area right here, because this air box is slid back further than this one, and it's broken right there, and a really key part. So I'm going to get a pry bar and start bending all this stuff out. So bending out this core support piece here was no problem really. It's not that far off. It's definitely a part that needs to be replaced, but it's gonna be very easy to be replaced because we're just gonna drill out the spot welds right there. And then knowing that I know that frame rail is straight, and I'm pretty positive that fender rail is straight, I'll be able to just weld it in and it'll land right where it needs to go. So that's awesome. So I was kind of just getting it out of the way. So when it moved forward though, it did smash into this air box. It broke a lot of the mounts. And what I would like to do is when I get this car back home, I would love to do custom air intakes that come down to here to some different filters, something nice aluminum or stainless that looks really nice. So that's the game plan. So nothing needs to be too professionally repaired right now, or there's no point really, but The MAF is sitting right here, you can see, and this is the tubing that held it, and that was into there, and it was broken off right there. When you have the MAF broken off that close to the open free air, it's going to get super turbulent air and get a bad reading, and it might even screw up just something as simple as a burnout. So Calvin has loaned me some epoxy, and this broke in a really, really clean way, so it super tightly seals back to itself. So I'm going to epoxy all the way around the outside of this, glue it back on there, let it dry, and then I'll reinstall that just for the burnout time. And then it's onto the radiator. Alrighty, now that is all epoxied up, I'm gonna go ahead and let it dry for a little bit longer. That's about like 30 minutes of drying done right there. Let that dry. We're gonna move over there, reinstall the radiator and fill it with fluid. A couple small problems on the finger, and then the death wheel got me in the knee. So then yeah, my bandage came off 2 seconds later. So that one stings. I'm having a fun time cutting all these things off. This little Y piece, all these little plastic Y pieces, they're very fragile and they tend to break. So I bought replacements this morning, having a feeling that this could be an issue. Like this T piece right here, very fragile. So you have to take these are like crimped down from the factory, and they're really, really hard to get off. So I got to take this one off, and there's another piece that I lost when I cut myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and take all these off camera, and then we'll put a new Y piece in so we can connect up to the top of the radiator the proper way. I'm really happy that we're actually getting all the radiator connections in, like back to OEM and everything like that, without spending too much money. $300 radiator, not a big deal. So that's really awesome. All right, we were pretty close to being done. I had to move outside because they got to pull an engine out of the shop. But what we got going on here is we got to tighten down the rest of these hoses, fill the radiator with fluid, attach this to right about here with some zip ties. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. Put the air box back on, put the MAF in the air box, and then we got to take the hood off, and I think we're good to go. We are super close to the first startup, so here's what we got going on. I went ahead and removed the hood because that was garbage. Zip tied all the washer lines and everything like that down. Zip tied a lot of stuff down, and then we filled up the coolant system, filled up power steering. Coolant system is topped off. So now we're gonna jump in, and there's an electronic bleed procedure that just turns on the water pump. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can jump in there and make that happen. All right, the bleed procedure didn't work, but who needs that anyways? We're gonna try and start it up. All right, so you have to use a key for this thing.
Put the key in.
Keys in. Oh, a little BMW music there. Let's go check it out.
Sounds a little crunchy.
I think it's that pulley, man.
Yeah, pulley's close.
No, I think that pulley right there is just too close to something. I don't know.
There's gap. I mean, I think it's fine, but it's something in here.
It ain't too bad. She's running pretty great. There's a small inconsistent like clicking coming from in there that we're not too worried about. So now that it's heated up, we're gonna go ahead and turn it back off, and that'll let some of the coolant come back down a little bit. But overall, this car starts and we scored. We scored big time. I mean, this is a well-functioning engine and everything still. So that's a win. That's a huge win.
All right, guys, that is where I'm going to end this episode. Unfortunately, it's just super late, and we weren't able to get the burnout on there, but we were able to get it to run, which is great. The engine sounds great. I think my guess is that the water pump pulley is a little pissed off, and with a little adjustment, that clicking would stop. Or maybe a replacement of a water pump, but it's not that big of a deal if I need to do that. So we got it to run. It sounds good. Now, the kicker is when I went to try and pull it into the shop, the car won't go in gear. So we have some theories on what that might be, but that's what I'm going to try and get figured out in the next episode. so we can go do a burnout. I'm really sticking to this goal. Aston Martin, I actually fixed in the middle of this episode. It was such a minor thing. I just fixed it really quickly. And I don't know what the game plan is for that. If we can find a good spot, I might go do some donuts with that or something else like that. But I'm learning that those tires, which I really, really like the tires that are on there, they're $1,000 a piece, almost. I think they're a little shy of $1,000 a piece, brand new. So I really don't want to just go kill them for no reason. I'd love to get a burner set on there and we can go have fun with that, maybe back home. So that's pending, but I'm still really excited to go just rip the tires off this BMW. So that's kind of my new goal, what I got my focus on. And we'll do that in the next episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. I can tell that a lot of you guys are really hyped for this M5, and so am I, which is just a great thing. So thank you guys so much for all the support. And that's about it. If you like Beast for Build and you want to help out and support even further, head over to beastforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop, grab any of our merch there. That all helps so much. And if you want to follow us in more places, we're Beast for Build on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all that good stuff. Follow us on there. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.